panelists in the room and online on Zoom. And I would like to make a quick introduction about Let's Talk Connectivity. And before I do that, my name is Naza Nicholas Karama, currently serving as the president of Internet Society Tanzania chapter, and also the project manager for the Tanzania Digital Inclusion Program. The issue about connectivity, really, we are looking at half of the billion people, half of the almost 7 to 8 billion people who are, unconnected around the world. And in Africa, I think the situation may be worse, but every organization is doing its bit. Although the situation is dire, but we cannot, sit idle by and do nothing. And today we have our panelists who are actually doing, some work on the ground to address the issue of connectivity. I want to start with you, Professor Joseph, without the title. I would like to say that. How to bring practical experiences into the education in terms of these issues that you are engaged in. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And if you don't mind, I stand. Yes. The question of really asking our universities, should we rather continue on our theoretical experiences, or should we try to be more practical with educating people for the sake of the society? Because we all know that when it comes to connectivity and the digital world, that is why we are all here, and that is what we need. So our approach then has been that we say, let's talk to the universities and get at the universities what we call the regional competence center. Like in Tanzania, with the help of Nassar and Catherine, we were able to establish this regional competence center at the Dar es Salaam Institute of Technology, at the University of Dar es Salaam, and also at the University of Dodoma, which means we tell students, or we give students the opportunity to actually have practical learnings in configuring devices. And we have a booth outside. Stupid that we forgot to bring the devices across, which are like standard devices which students learn to configure, that they get practical experience on what it means to configure IT, and then they take the devices out to the ground, and then they help in connecting schools. Because the path which I actually would love for you to open is the path not where we have networks, but the path of really saying, what do we do out in the bush? Where like the next base station is 20 kilometers away, where we don't see a chance of connectivity. And that is the area where we are focusing on. And that focus is simply then done by taking a water pipe 6 meters up, building an antenna, a directive antenna on the top, which then allows us to reach like 20 to 25 kilometers out to a mobile tower, and then create a local information spot. And the reason for creating a local information spot is then simply to say that, hey, people can come there, and then they can do these services on the internet. Of course, we have a restriction when it comes to price, but that's a different discussion.
Thank you, Joseph. I just wanted a question. I have a question for Dr. Baraka. I don't know if he is online. Is access to digital goods and information a universal human right? How to enable access, especially for people and the groups who are left behind in traditional business models? If you can just combine the two questions together, I think in the interest of time, You can introduce yourself and be very brief. Thank you. Um, do we have, okay. Um, um, I think there is a lot of background noise where you are. If we can go to Moses. Moses, how can NRENs, the National Research Education Networks, be extended to connect schools and communities? If you can hear us, please, the floor is yours. Okay, thank you, Dr. Moses. If we were to address the issues around, sustainable development goals, um, how can we provide local access to, decentralized information to address, the global challenges, as I said, in relation to, sustainable development goals? Briefly, Joseph, if you can get us through that. Um, can we really do that?
Well, the question which we have is a question really of bringing first of all competence to the table, and I think the competence to the table is really what I've seen now through our common work in Tanzania, that where we bring the Internet Society, the universities, and the local actors together to have a common goal of the digital transformation, and of course through your fantastic network. Which you have in involving the government in getting the permits for bringing the devices out and getting that done. So I would say yes, but we need all the bits and pieces. And for me, Tanzania is a very collaborative environment where I see that people talk to each other, and together we form a consensus of how we can bring digital empowerment and the access to digital public goods and the whole digital infrastructure further, though it takes time.
Thank you, Professor. I will go to Barak. I don't know if he's online. I would like to tickle his mind a little bit as far as the issues of digital public, goods. I think this is really some kind of a pull, I might say, a hanging fruit from the digital corporation actually report that came out the other time. Is access to digital goods and information universal human rights, and should it be? We're talking about ensuring not only the rural, not only the urban who are underserved, and the rural and connected also do enjoy the public goods that are necessary to make their digital life better. So what do you think?
Hello, I think Dr. Baraka is not around, if I can chip in.
Yes.
That one.
Yes, go ahead.
The access digital goods and services access to being universal rights to everybody. Now, it doesn't seem like that because it looks like this is just an extra layer of service provision means. But then as we go, everything is going digital. And without that, people alienate a huge part of people to access that, especially in the rural areas. And that takes us to enabling connectivity for rural areas. So there's nothing that is only right for the people in the urban areas that is not
Thank you.
supposed to be treated in the same way as the rural areas.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Barak. I think we are running out of time. Professor Hanol, to sum up, do you think from the work that you have done across Africa and elsewhere, particularly in Tanzania, the collaborative effort that you see and the supportive environment that exists, do you see any encouraging signs to ensure that we connect all schools, just like the digital compact report says?
I see absolutely encouraging signs from, let's say, the policies and from the demand of connectivity we want to achieve. Where I still see the major lack is that I would say the discussion on the first capex, on the financing. We first need to get the infrastructure in place, and only when we have the infrastructure in place, then we can talk about how we get it running. So what I'm missing a bit is this common attempt of saying we need per school, let's say $1,200 to connect the school, including a basic training. And that is where I'd really love to get a better alliance with like the World Bank, the development banks, the institutions, to really think about that access is more than just a telecom network. It's a common story starting from the universities, the research centers, down to getting the equipment down to schools and communities.
Thank you, Dr. Moses. Can you, what would be your parting shot, in summarizing this whole, if you were to do the basics in terms of let's talk connectivity? I mean, if you were to sum up in 1 minute, what would you say? I mean, if you were to summarize the session today and the challenges ahead, what would be your parting shot? Yes.
Yeah, I get that. For me, that is an essential issue, and it manifests in so many forms, and we need to do as much as possible, as quick as possible, to get that taken care of, because 50%, I think 60% of people who are living in rural areas, especially in developing countries, are out of connectivity.
Thank you, Dr. Moses. Now I'm going to open to the audience if they have any question for the panelists or any submission.
Any questions regarding connectivity?
I think they are okay as they are. I think if I were to add, if I were to add on top of what have been said, is that we need collaborative efforts to ensure that we connect everyone, including all schools. No organization, no institution can do it alone, and that's why we insist on collaborative effort, everywhere, and complement, our efforts on the ground of what we're actually doing. The issue of connectivity, I think it is as much a global issue as the issue of human rights, because if you don't have anybody connected online, people are missing opportunities. So what we are doing, for example, in Tanzania, we are not just connecting people for the sake of connecting them. We are connecting them to digital opportunities, be it in education, e-learning, be it in doing business online, be it in where situation entrepreneurs want to get their products and services online, so they can enjoy that gig economy as they call it. So with that, I would like to invite a professor. Professor, if you can say something to close this up.
I'm so pleased, Nasser. Thank you so much. Now, the whole session was about let's talk connectivity. And I really feel that there has been an unfortunate alliance of saying the telecoms pay a huge amount of taxes to the government, and the government has given exclusive rights to the frequencies to the telecom operator. And that actually has resulted in that the practical knowledge of connectivity is often not addressed in the public discussion, is often not addressed in the strategies for universities. And so what Nasser pointed out, that access to the digital world is the basic human rights. Without connectivity, you will never ever see the chance of building a digital economy or having a future. We had, when we connected schools, I still remember when some younger girls came to me and asked me, can the internet empower my dreams? And this, how can the internet help us empower the dreams of the young population of Africa? That means we really need to get down into every village and build, we call it a community learning living lab. And our slogan here is from CO2 to CL3, where CL3 stands for the Community Learning Living Lab. And it's basically the transition from the man's thinking of more things, more CO2, more pollution, more cars, towards the feministic values of empowering the society, of inclusivity of the internet, of really giving everyone the chance of empower the dreams. So thank you all for being here, and I hope during the coffee break we can discuss a bit more. Thanks, Nada, for organizing this session, and for Catherine to reporting. Thanks.
Thank you. A round of applause for the Professor of Connectivity. And for Dr. Moses and Dr. Barak for your online participation. I know you are a very busy bee people, but we appreciate your presence and we look forward to continuing this conversation. Thank you so much for attending, and we look forward to the future sessions. Thank you.